All right, so something really, really crazy is happening right now, and I can't exactly tell you what it is. So right now it's October 2021, and we are still in the pandemic. It happened March 2020, and it's still happening now, and who knows when it's ever going to end. But something's happening right now, and people, and when I say people, I mean higher powers, politicians, government, all that kind of stuff. There's something happening where they're hiding a bunch of stuff. They're planning a bunch of things, and they're using the pandemic as a way to hide what's going on. And what I'm seeing is that the divide between the haves and the have-nots, that separation, is going to be very drastic. It's going to be huge very soon. And in this video, I'm going to talk about what you can do to make sure that you're on the right side of that divide when it happens. Hey guys, so if this is your first time here, I'm Hoan. This is the Hoan Zone. This is where we talk about multiplying the assets you own. Today's video is a pretty serious one because I'm going to be talking about how there are going to be a bunch of people being left behind, and then we're going to have a huge group of people that are going to be suffering because they are not going to be financially set. They're not going to be financially intelligent and literate so that they can make the right moves. So I'm going to be talking about how people are going to be in really bad positions in the coming years and what you guys can do about it. Because of the pandemic, because everything got shut down in 2020, businesses were stuttering and all of that, the government decided we're going to print a whole bunch of money. And on the surface, that seemed like a good thing for a bunch of people because they're like, oh my gosh, I'm getting all of this money and unemployment is paying me more than my job did. And, everybody's very happy. But then a whole bunch of people realize what's happening. And with all that money printing comes inflation. And you are starting to see it now. Inflation is what happens when your dollar loses its buying power. So when you go to the store and you used to spend $8 to buy a burrito, now that burrito is $10 or $12, that is inflation. When you go to buy a car that used to be $30,000, now it's $40,000. And then in real estate, when the house used to be $300,000, now they're $500,000, $600,000. There's something happening here, and people are going to get priced out of everything. Since this channel talks about multiplying the assets you own, and that main asset is real estate, let's talk about real estate first. So real estate, the prices of houses are going way up. But then you are also seeing the emergence of this thing called an iBuyer, an instant buyer. And those come in the form of these companies like Zillow, where they will give you an offer on your house. The company, will buy the house from you. And then what Zillow will do later is either sell it to you at a marked up price and make a bunch of money, or a hedge fund is going to be an iBuyer. They're going to buy the house from you, and then they're going to rent that house out so nobody else gets to buy that house. That's going to be one of their assets. They are multiplying the assets that they own. So they're going to buy all of these properties that people are going to want to rent out. And so they're going to make home ownership tougher because they're going to own all of the inventory and you're not going to be able to buy anything. So why does that really matter? Well, if you don't own a home, then your net worth is going to be significantly less because home ownership is one of the main ways that people build wealth in this country. If you ever look at stats that say renter versus homeowner and what their net worth is, a homeowner's net worth is going to be something like $150,000, $200,000, $300,000, $500,000, and then a renter is going to be like $5,000. And why is it that a homeowner's net worth is $500,000? Because of the value of the house. It went up over time. They paid that mortgage down over time, and voila, you got all that equity. A renter builds up none of that. And so if you have a whole nation of renters, you're going to have a whole nation of people with no net worth. If you own a house and you have a ton of equity, what can you do with that equity? Well, you can borrow that equity, right? You can sell the property, you can extract that equity, and you can use that money for real things. You can pay for your kid's college or wedding or whatever. You don't have to go into massive debt to pay those things, or you don't have to go into expensive debt because you can leverage the house, the equity in the house, and you can get low interest debt to pay for those things. So having that net worth, having that equity is going to allow you to live a better life where you can then have your dollar go further because it's not all going to interest. But as I said, there's a divide happening and a bunch of crazy things are happening because of this pandemic. One of those things being that you're not going to be able to buy a house because either one, the price of the house is going to be too much, or two, because these iBuyers are going to buy up the houses and then only allow you to rent the house, and you're not going to be able to buy one. So that's a crazy thing if that actually starts to really happen in a really, really big way for a long time. The other thing that's going to happen when you try to buy a house is that because everything else is going to cost more money, your burritos and your cars and everything, literally everything, you're going to try to buy all of it with that same dollar, but you're not going to be able to. So how do you pay for it all? You're going to use credit cards. And so now you're going to have debt, and that debt is going to affect your DTI, your debt to income ratio. So when you go to buy a house and you try to leverage a mortgage from the bank to buy that house, the lender is going to pull your credit and realize that your debt is too high for your income for you to qualify for that mortgage. And if you can't use the mortgage to buy the property, then you can't get a property. And since the properties are going to be higher in price, if you don't qualify for a loan large enough, then again, you won't be buying this house. You're going to be priced out. It's all because of inflation and because of all of this money printing, right? This pandemic has caused a lot of stuff to happen, and then it gives different people an excuse to do things like print money, and then you get the emergence of these iBuyers, and this whole crazy thing is happening, and it's all happening right now. What that's going to look like in the future, we have no idea. We have no idea whatsoever. But I want you guys to stay aware now that this stuff is happening. It's happening right in front of us. This is history in the making. What that's going to mean for the country, I don't know right now, but I need you guys and everybody else that you know to be aware of these changes, because they're going to be big. They're huge. I don't even know. I don't know what's going to happen, so that I can't really create some kind of crazy plan, but I will give you a plan that I'm going to put in place, and I want you guys to maybe take a look at that so that you can apply it to your own life. As I was saying, this divide is happening whether you like it or not, and a lot of people are not going to like it because they're going to be on the wrong side of the divide. They're going to be the ones who are on the not have list, right? The people who have the assets, the people whose incomes will grow, they will be happy for the divide because they are going to be pushed up. So actually the divide's going to look like this. Those with a little bit of money are going to have less, and those with a lot of money are going to have way more. It's just going to be like whoop, like that. There's not going to be a middle class. You're either going to be poor or rich. So how do you ensure that you're on the rich side? Well, as we always say, multiply the assets you own. You got to start buying properties now, as fast as possible, before you can't buy them anymore. If you think prices are high now, just wait. They may go even higher, because it's not me and you who are buying them. It's all of these hedge funds and these giant companies that are now buying up all of the assets, right? So you're competing with them, and time is not on your side. The more time that goes by, these buyers are getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and they're just eating up all of the properties. Their systems are getting better. Their offers are getting better. See, they're brand new right now. They don't know what they're doing yet. They have a plan, but they haven't figured out how to streamline everything yet. They're still in testing phase. So your job, buy as many properties as you can. So how do you do that? Well, you got to raise as much money as you can. Get as much access to capital as you can, right? So you're going to have to talk to a whole bunch of people and say, hey, look, we got to do this thing. We got to buy all these properties because I have a hunch that the property values are going to go up even higher. Now, a lot of people are like, oh my God, that's unsustainable. Who can afford that? Wages aren't going up at that rate. Hey, these aren't regular buyers of these properties. It's a whole different world. We're not really talking like apples to apples anymore. It is a completely different market. So different buyers, different price points, wages won't matter. and then some corporation's going to own all of these properties, some hedge fund's going to own all of the properties, and they're going to make up all of the rules. Now, the other thing you want to do when you buy all of these assets is that when you get financing, you want to get fixed rate debt for a long time. So what's going to happen is, let's say you had a property and it's $200,000 and you got $150,000 worth of debt on it, but it's locked in at whatever interest rate you're at. So that $150,000 of debt is going to cost you, let's say, $1,000 a month. I'm just making it up. So it's going to cost you $1,000 a month. Today, $1,000 feels like $1,000. But a few years from now, that same like $1,000, it's going to feel very small. It's going to feel very, very small. So you're going to lock in today's rates and today's price. And so in the future, because of inflation, you're going to have so much more money, right? You're going to have so much more money. Like you're going to have $2,000, which is going to feel like the equivalent of $1,000. But you're going to have $2,000 now, and you're going to pay off that $1,000. Try to work it out on paper. Me verbalizing it might be difficult for you to understand, but you're going to be paying off today's dollars with tomorrow's money. So lock in that fixed rate interest, fixed rate loan, and make sure it's long term, that it doesn't have a balloon, that it doesn't adjust. And this way, when inflation starts kicking everybody's butt, you're going to be in a good position. The other thing that I really want you guys to focus on is create multiple streams of income and try to make sure that they are passive. If you're creating a bunch of jobs for yourself, that's unsustainable. What I want you to do is create a bunch of streams of income, and hopefully they're passive or semi-passive, where you don't have to exchange one unit of time for money, where you might have to manage the income stream, but it's not you trading your time one unit for one unit. And have multiple ones, because there's going to be so much disruption in this world. And there's already been, you've already seen it for the last year and a half. There's been so much disruption. It's only going to get crazier, where industries are going to completely change. New ones are going to pop up and old ones are going to die off. You're going to have all of these income streams so that if there's a disruption in one of them, you still got the other one. This way, your life isn't disrupted so badly when that happens. The final thing that I want you to focus on is having what I call a stable of horses. That's an idea that I got from a mentor of mine. He says that when he's holding his savings, it is not all in cash. He has some Bitcoin, he has some gold, he has some silver, he has some of it in his life insurance policies. He has money all over the place in different forms, so that no matter what happens to one of them, it doesn't affect all of his stuff, right? So you're going to have some real estate, you're going to have some Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies of whatever kind you want, gold, silver, what else? Anything that's valuable, anything that you find to be valuable as a store of wealth, you're going to have your savings in all of those stores of wealth. This world is going to be super crazy in the next couple of years in terms of finances, in terms of occupations, in terms of how you make money, how you live, how you build net worth. Your job is to just do everything you can now to build up as much money as you can, as many assets as you can, keep up with the inflation by owning the assets, and hope for the best, because we don't know what's going to happen. I have no idea what's going to happen, but I do know something is coming. So do a whole bunch of stuff to prepare yourselves, because we're in for a rocky ride. And when the shift happens, when the divide starts getting wider, if you are on the right side of the fence, then you will actually find yourself getting richer. Now, we can try to help the people who are getting poorer. We can help them with learning more about finances and all that kind of stuff, but you won't be able to help anybody if you find yourself on that poor side as well. So that's why I'm hoping that you heed this advice and you start doing massive action, or taking massive action towards your finances, because it will matter even more so in the future than it ever has in the past. All right, so that is it. Hopefully you like this video. This is a completely different kind of video that I usually shoot. Let me know in the comments, how did you like this video? What do you see in the future? Does any of this resonate with you? Are you just as confused as I am? Anyway, yeah, let me know in the comments, and make sure you subscribe. New videos come out every Monday and Wednesday on the Hoan Zone. All right, guys, that is it. I'm Hoan Tai. Let's multiply.